Oh, in this particular Moonlight Sonata, this is sonata number 14, if I'm not mistaken. I think Beethoven composed it in 1801, which is just 3 years prior to some Appassionata, which is number 23. And from what I remember from my music literature, is that from Appassionata was Beethoven's kind of like way of innovating himself as a composer, because has been the moment where he received already by that time the verdict that he is going to be deaf, so he will not get his hearing back. So it's just the way it is. And then can you imagine for a composer to be not to be able to hear what is it that he's been trying to do? So a Moonlight Sonata, he's been already composing without being able to hear much. So every note over there just makes sense. It just has a place to be there. And the first movement is the most iconic one. Yes, I know there is that third movement, which is we all love. It's just very technical, and the Appassionata is very technical in F minor. But all of those brilliant ideas that we have, they actually do come from that first movement of Moonlight Sonata. And this one is the most fun to analyze, because every bar that you touch over here, every block of progression that you touch inside of it, it's just so geniusly thought of. Every note has a place to be there. It has a reason to be there. It hasn't been just an act of like, this sounds good and this is what I'm going to keep. But no, every note is just very calculated to be there, to have that presence, to have that certain rhythm, to have that certain presence in that particular, on that particular count, that particular note. You can learn so much from that Moonlight Sonata, that first movement, as a composer, if you're trying to analyze, and as a musician in general, so because it teaches you so much. So have fun analyzing it. I think I will do like quite a few videos on it. But this one is something that I promised to one of my students, Emma. So from measure number 13 to measure number 23 at first, okay? So you skip the beginning, but I will come back to it a little bit later. Moonlight Sonata, first movement from measure number 13 to 23. So first of all, I'll just play it. This happens after the 12th measure, which is a wonderful one when we have that motion going downwards. Here's the 13th. Okay, so let's dive into, so first of all, 13s to 14s. So this is where we do have that B minor. Then here's the funny trick. So in your right hand, you've got the melody G, F sharp. In your left hand, it is sort of like the opposite. Instead of G, E, because it's going to be too boring. So we do have E, G, F sharp. And then afterwards it just goes to the octave. And then it's back to B, because this is where we are going. All right, in relation to the chords in between, so we do have B minor. Now over here we do have that B and C sharp. Like I usually say, he could have gone over here. Maybe a lot of composers would have gone to something like playing G major, which is would have ended up with E minus 7. but obviously what it does, the 7th chord it does with the minor chords, it's just it makes it so much happier than even the minor chord. And I mean, Beethoven being a tortured soul, that's not the music of Beethoven. So I mean, other composer maybe would have gone, and it does kind of like make sense. But now we want to have more of a trouble, so that's the reason why we do go to actually part of a diminished chord over here. That's hence that C sharp in between. So we've got C sharp. See, it gives you that tension right away. So see, that middle note stays the same, B. It's just that we change from D to C sharp in here. So one more time, B minor, C sharp, then it's back to the same B minor, only one F sharp bass in your left hand. Then it becomes the full dominant of that B, F sharp major, so A sharp and C sharp, and then the next measure starts. Now what happens in here? So we do have this almost identical 2 measures over here. I mean 2 and 2, yes, so they do go in pairs. So the first one, first of all, let's go with the left hand because this is where that main driving melody is. So we've got B for the whole measure and actually the first beat of the next measure. Then you've got, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, then 2, 3, 4, and then we repeat. So what we have over here is something that he was introducing us a little bit ahead of time, that idea that we go to E, G, then it returns back to E, and then B. So in a way we're sort of like playing that E minor chord, do you see it? But it's always based on that B, which is the wonderful thing, because what it does is just it gives us momentum. Now, with our right hand, we do have again the melody that has been introduced just a little bit earlier. So that 12th measure that once we played as well. Do you see what I'm having in my left hand? So that playing around that B, C, B and A sharp. That's exactly the melody that we've got over here. So it's full of a lot of tension. That's just basically playing around with chromatic movements around that B. So here is. This is what we have. And then obviously we want to emphasize not that B, but we want to emphasize first of all that change. So it's going to be B, C, and then. That's exactly what we have. The chord progressions underneath it is just like what could be simpler. So we sort of like want to go to E minor over here, but not exactly, because it's our parallel minor of our relative major. Yeah, we are inside C sharp minor and our relative major is E major. This is where we moved at one point right away in the 9th measure. And actually a little bit ahead of time. So here it is. So B minor, B major. So the chords are B major basically, and then it's just E minor. Then it's again B major and then E minor. That's about it. So it's very, very simple. Just in the beginning we do introduce for half of the measure B minor. So we've got 1, B major, E minor, full measure, then it returns to B major, so full measure of B major, E minor. So here it is. Now once we come back put it all together, it just sounds like this. So you've got B major, B minor, sorry, B major, yes, it does require a little bit more of a stretch here, but I obviously can do it. Now measure number 15 one more time with just the right hand, because it does make sense to play with the right hand. So 1, 2, 3. This is where you start the melody. 4, 1. Change the chord. So we've got C in our right hand. So we've got the 9th in here. 2, 3. On the 4th one we change to that A sharp for the melody. Then it's back to B, and it's clearly B major. B, C, which is an E minor underneath. So that's already the 19th measure. Okay, we've got it. Let's connect. So we've got, just count to yourself a little bit here. B major, melody. Now here's really important to remember that you don't do anything with your left hand. You're just basically holding up to this one. The left hand comes in, E, G, E. So this is where we do have that A sharp in our right hand. Measure number 19, so but do practice from the 15th to the 19th, okay, and then trying to connect it from the 13th to the 19th, and even better if you could connect it from the 9th to the 19th. Okay, afterwards we do have sort of like a transition moment of 4 measures before it goes to F sharp minor, which is our subdominant. That's the idea. As always, kind of like to arrive to that subdominant, we do need to go through its dominant. So from F sharp, the 5th is going to be C sharp major, isn't it? So that's exactly what we'll have if you take a look at measure number 22. So what we've got over here on the 22 is just, we do have the bass of that C sharp right away, and we do have the melody of that C sharp as well, but what happens underneath, in between the melody, is something that we have done before. So you've got that tonic for a while, then it goes, top note of the chord goes downwards, and we end up with the suspended chord, and then it goes to the dominant, just not the dominant 7, like before, in the beginning of the song, and then it's okay. So this is kind of like where we are going, but we just ended up on B major. How did we arrive from B major to F sharp minor? That's an interesting question, yeah, or to C sharp major, yeah, because that one is going to be dominant. Okay, so take a look what he has over here. So Beethoven is notoriously and just famous for using a lot of the diminished chords, and that's exactly the celebration for diminished chords. Take a look at the 19th measure. What happens with our left hand? It's going to be B, G sharp, E sharp, and it's F. So see what I'm playing? That's not the diminished chord, isn't it? So there it goes. So we did finish up on B major, and then let's go downwards and let's make a diminished chord out of it here. And that actually leads us to that F sharp, but we're not yet there. Okay, so this is the bass line from in the measure number 19th and 20. Okay, so now take a look what happens with our right hand. So we do have B major for 2 counts of that measure. Then afterwards it goes obviously to the diminished chord, so B. Here's where I know that it's written down over here as D natural and E sharp. But that's a diminished chord, isn't it? Then afterwards, we already introducing that we are going to go to that F sharp minor. And we actually do for the next chord. So see, that one is basically like if you're connecting with your left hand, that E sharp that you're going to have in there. So that basically makes it up into a C sharp 7, which obviously leads us to that F sharp minor. And we had exactly the same chord a little bit earlier. So connection. Even just the right hand by itself and the left hand by itself, they do make up so much sense. But once you're connecting it all, it just makes even more sense. So you've got, then left hand goes to G sharp, diminished chord is just the diminished 7th. Then we've got C sharp 7, and then it obviously leads us to the very, very clear F sharp minor. And then the chord which sounds like one of the saddest chords ever. But take a look, what is it I'm playing? I'm actually playing G major, one of the happiest chords there is. So C major and G major, they're probably considered like one of the happiest chords. But also here, because we do have that B, and we just introduced a lot of like movements with diminished chords. So obviously we are we're in a very dark place, so we don't believe that happiness on that G major over the medium note, because we want to keep moving, so that happiness, we know that it's not going to last, which is exactly the same here. Now what happens afterwards? Who would have doubted it? So we do have another diminished 7th, and then finally we do have a result where we've been going on all along. So we do want to end up in F sharp minor. So obviously we do have, first of all, to end up on the dominant of it, so C sharp major. And so on, and this is where we basically move our melody that we had at the very, very beginning in C sharp minor. Now we are moving that melody into F sharp minor. So similar ideas, similar things, because this is exactly what we had in the beginning. Do you remember? Now take a look and compare. Almost the same, almost identical, it really is. Okay, now let's pull it all together. So measure number 19 to the 23. It's just so much fun to analyze in that particular melody on that particular piece. Again, B major, then diminished 7th to be precise. Then it leads us to the dominant that we're going to introduce, C sharp 7, then it's F sharp minor, then that very tragic G major of B, another diminished chord, diminished 7th, and then that gets resolved into an F sharp minor with C sharp. Very Beethoven move, and afterwards that move has been borrowed by Chopin as well in a lot of his compositions, including even the happy nocturne in E flat. We've got a suspended chord, dominant, and then it goes to the tonic that we've been arriving to. And then the melody is the same that we had before, but it's now played in F sharp minor. But that one is the 23rd measure, and the idea was for us to go from 13th to 23rd. Okay, let's pull it all together. And actually, if you don't mind, I will start from 9th over here, because it just makes more sense. So the 9th starts from our E major, so from our relative major. E minor. So see, we know where we're going here. G7. Obviously it leads us to that C F sharp major, B minor, and right away goes to this relative major B major melody. The contraction melody in our left hand. Diminished chords, diminished progression in our left hand, which is so wonderful to lead us to that F sharp minor. Really fleeting happiness on that G major over B. Then afterwards we do have another diminished seventh, which is an input chord before our F sharp minor over C sharp, always dominant, and then suspended, dominant, suspended, dominant, and then to F sharp minor. Finally, we know that we've been going there, so Beethoven have been leading us by the hand that this is where we are going. He introduced all of the movements before, all of those melody lines before, so now, but they've been fleeting, kind of like introducing that this is the idea that we're going to, and now we have arrived. Oh, such a wonderful song to analyze.